Welcome to HFY HeroFi, where the ordinary become extraordinary. Here we celebrate the fearless, the champions who rise against impossible odds. From tales of bravery in distant galaxies to the darkest corners of the supernatural, HFY HeroFi brings you the ultimate stories of heroism. If you believe you've been chosen, heed the call and subscribe now. Let us HeroFi you, and come with us on our next adventure. Today's adventure is called The Missing. Join a fearless, ragtag team of heroes on a thrilling quest to rescue Eddie's friends, kidnapped by a mysterious and dangerous enemy. Can they unravel the mystery and save the day? Don't miss this epic adventure. Pastor Michael Matthews sat in his cramped office at Mercy Haven Homeless Shelter, the faint aroma of soup lingering from the evening's meal service. Outside, the city's neon lights flickered like dying stars. The shelter housed dozens every night, each soul carrying scars of neglect, pain, and addiction. For Michael, this was more than charity. It was his calling. He bowed his head in prayer, glancing at the prayer list on his desk. Each name carried a story, some hopeful, most heartbreaking. "Lord, watch over them," Michael said. "Protect the forgotten and the lost. I need your guidance tonight. I feel the storm coming, but I don't yet see the clouds." A surge of divine energy filled his body, radiating through him with warming light and purpose. Michael had felt this energy many times before. This sacred empowerment energized his very being and set him at peace no matter what storms were brewing. His hands tingled with an almost imperceptible vibration, as though charged with unseen power. There was a weightless sensation, as if his body had been unburdened of all weariness, leaving him both grounded and elevated. His breaths became deeper, steadier, each one carrying a sense of divine assurance. This was no mere feeling, it was a tangible presence, filling the air around him and resonating within his core. A holy energy seemed to ripple through the space, gentle yet undeniable. It left an impression of peace and purpose that anchored him firmly in the moment. A knock at the door broke his trance. Jerome, the shelter's security guard, stepped inside. His broad shoulders barely fit through the frame, his sharp eyes scanning the room with the discipline of his military days. "Pastor," Jerome said, his voice low, "Eddie's back. And he's rambling about something strange." Michael stood up from his desk and followed Jerome out the door. Eddie was one of their most fragile regulars, often gripped by paranoia, but Michael had learned to listen carefully. Eddie often saw things others missed. Eddie sat huddled in the common room, his gaunt frame trembling as he clutched his tattered coat. His hands shook, but his eyes burned with urgency. "Pastor," Eddie whispered, his voice cracking, "they're taking us." "They don't come back," Jerome continued. "They don't come back." He continued to mumble under his breath, visibly shaken by whatever it was he had seen. Michael pulled up a chair. "Who's taking who, Eddie?" Eddie's gaze darted to the shadows. "They come at night, people vanish, like Manny, like Sandra, the old man on 6th Street. Jerome pulled his blankets tighter. "I heard them talking about food." "Food?" Michael asked, frowning. "What do you mean?" Eddie nodded, his face pale. "Not food for us, food for them. They ain't human, Pastor, and they know I know." "They're gonna come for me next," Jerome said with a shudder. Before Michael could respond, a low mechanical hum echoed from outside. The lights flickered and the room plunged into darkness. Jerome tensed, his hand instinctively moving to his concealed weapon. Michael and Jerome rushed to the front door. The street outside was empty, but an unnatural stillness hung in the air. Then they heard it, a low guttural clicking sound mixed with that otherworldly hum. The clicking filled the air, dissonant and foreign, sending shivers down the spine with its unnatural cadence. It hummed as if communicating something ancient and unknowable. "Stay behind me, Pastor," Jerome warned, drawing his weapon. A shadow moved near the alley. As they approached, it emerged. A humanoid figure, but disproportionate. Its skin shimmered like liquid metal, its eyes glowing an eerie green. A panel on its arm opened, and then it lunged toward them with its claws extended. "Get back!" Jerome shouted, firing his weapon. The bullets ricocheted off the creature's metallic skin. Michael reacted instinctively, his hand clutching the cross around his neck. It raised a clawed hand, But before it could land a blow, radiant holy light erupted from Michael and struck the creature. It shrieked, its metallic skin beginning to bubble and melt. The creature stumbled backward, its body convulsing before fleeing into the darkness. Jerome stared at Michael, his weapon still raised. What in God's name was that? The Holy Spirit, Michael said, though his voice was heavy with concern. And whatever that thing was, Michael said, eyeing the creature. It wasn't human. Clearly, Jerome said. The next morning, Michael gathered his trusted allies, Jerome and Sister Joan Reyes. She was a retired nun whose fierce faith matched her sharp tongue. He explained what Eddie had said and what they'd encountered. Before they could fully process the information, Robert, a tall man in a black suit, stepped forward from the empty hallway. He was a former government analyst who frequented the shelter, usually keeping to himself. Michael saw him from the corner of his eye but was not afraid, almost as if he'd known he was there lurking in the shadows of the shelter. "You want answers?" Robert asked, his voice thick with guilt. "I can give them to you because I helped them." The room fell silent. Robert continued, "I used to work for them, or at least the people covering for them. The government's in bed with these things. They're aliens, an expeditionary force sent to assess Earth," he said grimly. "Once they noticed that humans don't care about the homeless, they identified them as easy prey. No one would miss them." "Why tell us now?" Sister Joan demanded. Robert's eyes filled with tears. "Because I helped set this up," Robert responded. "I helped them choose their targets, and I've regretted it every day since. There's a facility under City Hall. That's where they're keeping their food supply. If you want to stop this, that's where you start." That night, they made their move. Using Robert's access codes and knowledge of the facility, they bypassed the main security systems. Jerome took point, his military training evident in every calculated move. Sister Joan surprised them all with her lock-picking skills. "Since when do nuns pick locks?" Robert asked with a raised eyebrow. Joan smirked. "You'd be surprised what a nun learns in her time." In the basement, they found it. A massive underground facility filled with endless rows of translucent pods that cast a sickly green glow. Within each chamber, human bodies floated in viscous fluid, their faces frozen in expressions of silent horror. Tubes snaked from their bodies like parasitic tendrils, pulsing with harvested life force. The air thrummed with an otherworldly frequency that made their teeth ache and their stomachs churn. The entire space felt wrong, like a violation of both natural law and human dignity. "This is where they process them," Robert explained, his voice breaking. "They keep them alive, feeding off their life force slowly." Suddenly alarms blared. Multiple doors slid open, revealing squadrons of alien soldiers. Their armor shifted like liquid mercury, and they carried weapons that pulsed with strange energy. "Incoming," Jerome shouted, taking cover behind a pod. "In the name of the Lord." Sister Joan's voice thundered through the facility, her cross thrust skyward as divine power exploded from it in a cascade of brilliant gold. The holy energy crystallized into a shimmering dome of pure light that crackled and sang with celestial power. Alien plasma bolts slammed against it, their dark energy dissipating into harmless sparks that rained down around them. Michael raised his hands, and the Holy Spirit surged through him like a tidal wave of sacred fire. Radiant light poured from his body in pulses of pure divine energy that illuminated the facility like a newborn sun. Where this holy power touched the aliens, their liquid metal skin bubbled and peeled away in sheets of molten silver. The creatures shrieked in unholy terror as the light of God seared through their otherworldly forms. One alien, caught in the full force of the divine blast, lit up from within like a dying star. Its metallic shell cracked and shattered, its alien form dissolving into nothing but drifting ash that glowed with the last remnants of holy fire. There were too many, and the three of them were quickly overwhelmed. A plasma burst caught Jerome in the shoulder, sending him sprawling. Sister Joan rushed to his side, pressing her hands to his wound while whispering urgent prayers. A soft golden light emanated from her hands, stemming the worst of the bleeding. Robert worked frantically at a control panel, trying to shut down the facility's defenses. "My codes aren't working anymore," Robert shouted. "I don't know what's going on." The facility's leader appeared, a towering alien with a crown-like crest. its body wrapped in shifting, liquid metal armor. It carried an advanced weapon that crackled with dark energy. "You dare interfere with our harvest?" it hissed. It turned to its soldiers. Its speech was a series of rapid, staccato clicks, sharp and rhythmic, like insect legs skittering across a glass surface. "Your harvest ends tonight," Michael declared, standing firm despite his exhaustion. The alien leader fired its weapon. Michael raised his hands and holy light met dark energy in a devastating explosion. The force knocked everyone back, shattering pods and crushing equipment. Sister Joan struggled to her feet, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. She began to pray, her voice growing stronger with each word. The holy light around Michael intensified. Jerome, bolstered by Sister Joan's healing, provided covering fire, forcing other aliens back. Robert finally broke through the facility's systems, causing their weapons to malfunction. "I'm in!" The alien leader screamed in rage and charged Michael directly. Michael stood his ground, channeling every ounce of faith he possessed. "Lord, give me strength," he cried out. Pure, white-hot light exploded from Michael, so bright it was almost solid. The alien leader's armor began to peel away like mercury under flame. Its true form revealed something ancient and terrible. "Your God has no power here," it shrieked. "He has power everywhere," Michael answered, his voice resonating with divine authority. The light intensified, and the alien leader's body began to disintegrate, breaking apart into atoms as it screamed. The remaining aliens fled in terror as their leader was reduced to ash. "The containment systems are failing," Robert shouted. "This whole place is going to collapse." They rushed through the facility, helping as many victims as they could evacuate. As they neared the exit, a massive support beam began to crack above them. Sister Joan was helping a weakened survivor, too focused on their progress to notice the thundering cracks above her. Robert saw at first the beam splintering, ready to crash down. "Joan!" he yelled, sprinting toward her. Without hesitation, he shoved her and the survivor forward just as the beam gave way. Sister Joan stumbled to safety, turning back in horror as tons of metal and concrete crashed down. "Robert!" she screamed. Through the settling dust, they could see him pinned beneath the debris, blood trickling from his mouth. "Go," he coughed, managing a weak smile. "This is my way of making things right." "We can't leave you." Sister Joan tried to move toward him, but Jerome held her back as more of the ceiling began to cave in. "He's right," Michael said, his voice heavy with grief. "We have to go." "Thank you for everything," Sister Joan said. Robert's eyes met theirs one last time, peaceful despite the pain. "I know. He's real. I see him now." A smile spread across Robert's face as more of the roof began to crumble around him. With the way toward Robert blocked, they had no choice but to run as the facility continued to collapse behind them. Robert's final act of redemption sealed in the depths of the earth. The morning sun rose over the city, its light warming the faces of those who had fought through the darkness. In a quiet room at Mercy Haven, Sister Joan moved among the rescued, tending to their wounds with gentle hands and whispered blessings. Her eyes still glistened with tears for the fallen. Jerome sat in a chair, his bandaged shoulder a testament to the night's battle, while Michael stood by the window, both of them carrying the weight of Robert's sacrifice. "We did it," Jerome said softly, who had stood against an otherworldly evil and prevailed. Michael shook his head, exhausted but grateful. "No, the Lord did it. We were just his instruments." He looked at each of them in turn. "But each of you fought with everything you had. Sister Joan, your faith and healing kept us alive. Jerome, your courage and skill saved countless lives. And Robert." Michael's voice caught for a moment. "His choice to stand with us to right the wrongs of his past, he gave everything to save others. There is no greater love than that." Sister Joan wiped away a tear. "The four of us faced the darkness together. And though we lost one, with the Lord's help, we succeeded." Outside, the city stirred to life, unaware of the heroes who had battled in its depths. Its citizens were unaware of the four souls who had stood against an alien evil and emerged victorious. Their victory wouldn't make headlines or history books, but they knew what they had accomplished. Evil had been vanquished not by an institution or a building, but by the unwavering faith of a pastor, the fierce devotion of a nun, the steadfast courage of a soldier, and the redemptive choice of a man seeking forgiveness. And as long as people like them stood ready to fight, darkness would never triumph.